Hello, I'm Sandra Murray of the White Mountain Community Garden located in the heart of Show Low, Arizona. Welcome to Arizona Mountain Gardening.
It's still pretty cold out here in the tunnel because we have to have both ends open. So we're instead to heat up the earth so we can plant our tomatoes, we're putting in walls of water. These are miraculous little things. You take them, you put them around your plant, you fill them up with water, and then they keep the heat, keep the cold out at night, and are a nice little protection for our young plants. So we have gentlemen, luckily, filling these for us because it's a pretty back-breaking job. So I gave it to them. Smart that I am. A problem we're having with the tunnel this year, and the reason that both ends are open and letting all the wind and cold air in, is because one of the supports has broken from the wind. You see that? Yeah, hoped to be able to plant tomatoes and a number of other things right now, but it's too cold and too windy. We did plant some peas today. They're pretty hardy, snow peas, so they'll come up later and they'll survive right now.
The children's garden at the White Mountain Community Garden is entering its second year.
Is this row 4?
Yeah.
Row 4.
I'm thinking like some of those big round yellow tomatoes and like right here.
Oh, the yellow ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then some red cherry tomatoes and some yellow cherry tomatoes down there.
Children of all ages participate in the garden, from planning what crops to plant, preparing the soil, planting, weeding, and watering. There is much to do and learn. Children and gardening go naturally together. Gardening is a great family project too. Studies reveal that children who know about growing food tend to eat more vegetables and fruit. They are more inclined to continue healthy eating habits into adulthood. Gardening provides a fun learning environment too. Principles of science and math are involved in growing. For example, what do seeds need to grow and thrive? How far apart are seeds to be sown? And how can we measure it? In a survey of community gardeners in Denver, 80% gardened as children. Spending time in the garden provides opportunities for children to learn about where food comes from, experience growing something from seed, and engages them in physical activity out in nature. You don't need a lot of space. Even gardening in a container or small raised bed can be a great place to start.
I'd like to learn about gardening. I learned about the different bugs and about how the soil soil in different spots makes it better in different spots to grow different things. I got to garden and help the community, and I don't really have a favorite vegetable. I like all vegetables. My favorite herb is mint. I like to plant flowers and good tasting things like lettuce and tomatoes.
Learning to garden as a child can have a positive lifetime benefit.
I would tell them about the garden, and I would tell them that it's very fun to garden. I would teach them how to plant seeds, how to identify bad bugs, how to not pull out the good plants that you planted, just weeds.
Hi, I'm Linda Hoy from the White Mountain Community Garden, and I am the leader of the pack in the children's garden, which is right here behind me. And we want to invite you in the community of Show Low and Lakeside and Pine Top and all around to bring your children to the community garden on Saturdays between 9 and 11 and let them find out what gardening is about. It's a very exciting time for children to learn about gardening and where their food comes from. So please feel welcome to come by and introduce yourself, and let's have fun digging in the dirt. Thanks a lot.
Hi, my name's Haley. I'm 10 years old and I've been gardening since I was 3 years old. How I got into gardening was one day I was digging in the dirt and I found some seeds. I was wondering if we can plant them. And so then when I grew up and got older, I wanted to garden. So then I came here with my grandma, and I've been gardening here for 2 years. I like doing gardening, and I like planting, I like picking, I like doing all sorts of stuff. The main thing I like to do is planting. I have friends that come to the garden and help plant with me. I have like 2 best friends here. Their names are Linda and Trina. They help me, and they are the ones that got me into gardening. I just love gardening. We've been learning about soils in the garden. When the soil is like dry, then if we know it's dry and if we water it and it just doesn't help it, we know that that soil isn't the right type of soil. So we kind of take the plant that we've planted in there, the seeds and all the plants and stuff, and we try and get them into different soil to plant them at the right time. So when we do that, it helps the plants. The Master Gardening Program is really fun. It's like this program where kids can join and have fun, and they can learn about all sorts of stuff, plants, and you get all these materials, and over time we get this bed, and the junior master bed is the bed that we can plant what we want to plant in it. I do want to be a master gardener. I was a master gardener last year. We learned about all sorts of bugs. This year in the junior master gardening program, we're going to be learning about more things like higher difficulties. We're going to be learning about the bugs that are dangerous, that aren't good for the plants, and bugs that are good for the plants. And at the end of the Junior Master Gardening Program, they get to make these pollinator beds. It's where you get to choose from rocks, dragon tears, flowers. You get to pick any flower from the garden, and you get to put it into this container, and we call it the pollinator bed. We keep them there until it's time for us to. It's at the end of the year when the Junior Master Gardening Program is over. We can either choose to take those home, or we can choose to leave them here so the pollinators can pollinate. Oh, the produce here is delicious. We have cabbage, lettuce. It's really good because we get to pick it when it's fresh, and there's carrots, cabbage, lettuce, peas, beans, all sorts of fresh produce. Tomatoes, Right here in the high tunnel, last year we had all of these rows were filled with these big golden tomatoes, and they were so good. And there was cherry tomatoes. We get all sorts of fresh produce. Last year we planted magic beans and flowers. I'm Haley Enders. I'm 10 years old, and this is White Mountain Community Garden.
Hi, I'm Sandra Murray.
And I'm Vicky Matsumanji.
We're out here at the White Mountain Community Garden. It's very early spring, so we're thinking about jobs that we can get done here in the garden, right, Vicky?
Right. And we're showing you how to build a lasagna garden. It's a no-till garden.
So that's right. It's not about making food to make a lasagna. It's all about sheet composting, essentially. Layering. And then it cooks, and you're going to make some really awesome soil. Great way to use up a lot of your food scraps, old plants from the garden, coffee grounds, and leaves. That's
pine
great.
Needles, and we're going to start with cardboard. That's our basis, right?
Yep, we're going to start with cardboard.
Because it breaks down eventually.
Exactly. And you can do it in a raised bed, as we're showing here.
Okay.
But you could also do it if you have a little area of land that you say, oh, I'd like to make a garden, but it sure doesn't look like much. You can use that in this, the same application that way too.
So let's get started.
Okay, so we're going to lay our cardboard as the first layer. And again, you could be, collecting all these materials throughout the season. Spring is a great time to do this. Fall is equally as good.
We have some.
There we go. Yeah, the straw works good. So we'll kind of layer this. Yep, newspaper is a good thing too. Here we are, we'll cover it all up.
Okay.
Now in the garden, if you just had a blank piece of land, you're doing this again to keep the weeds out.
Right.
All right, so now we'll put down our newspaper. So you'd really want to put down several layers, but for purposes of this demonstration,
We're only using a few.
yeah.
But you don't want to use the shiny paper ads. You want to stay away from that.
That's right. So then we want to water her down good. Helps everything kind of stick and get the process going.
Try to avoid the wind.
Avoid the wind? I think that's pretty impossible up here in the White Mountains.
Okay, what's next?
So we got lots of brown things. We can add some of those old corn husks even.
You ready for that?
Yeah, let's do it. You could just kind of break them up. Again, all this plant material is going to decompose and create awesome soil. Bring some happy worms in here to do their work too. And again, you don't have to be real specific about it. So there we go, an old
dried
plant
plants.
material. Yeah. That's looking good. Yeah, I
Okay.
think we're in good shape there.
Okay. Once everything starts decomposing, especially the food scraps, the worms will come.
Right.
What do
Yep,
you want to
we-
do next?
We could do a few more browns. Again, we're getting her piled up pretty high, keeping in mind that it's gonna
It'll settle.
settle down, as time goes by.
We have straw. We also have leaves
Yeah,
and pine
so it just gives you a few ideas of things that you can collect during the different seasons and use them for your lasagna garden. Yeah, that looks great.
Yes,
Yes.
not aluminum foil.
So I think
Okay,
we're
how
good
much
on the browns.
Okay, cool.
So you want a lot more browns than greens. So a lot of the green material, again, if you had access to grass clippings, oh, they're awesome. So
Yeah.
again, you know somebody with grass, perfect. Otherwise, another great way for green stuff is your kitchen scraps. So, you know, you save these up and
Just throw it in
throw
there.
them in there. And you can, some of the pieces are pretty big, but they will be
They'll break-
composted very nicely.
They'll break down.
Yeah. The other thing you can do, if you want to really get her going, is you can blend these. You know, put them in your
And
blender, little
that will-
pieces.
That will really attract the worms.
Yeah. With a little water. So there you go.
All right.
And
Okay.
another thing that I like to use is coffee grounds. So keep all your coffee grounds and tea bags or loose tea. And
Yep.
again, just sprinkle them in there. And as you can see, this is kind
Smells
of a
like breakfast.
smell. But, you know, if you have friends that don't compost and have coffee, you might want to ask them if they can keep their coffee grounds for you. Because this is really great stuff for making soil.
All right.
And another thing, again, so there's our green stuff, manure or compost. Manure.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we have some right over there in that blue bucket. So this is like pony poo. So we'll get that sprinkled on.
Yeah, I think you want to use the rake for that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't think I'm gonna put my hands in that. You can just kind of spread it over. Again, as you can see, it doesn't look like much. There's not really a recipe to it. You cannot do it wrong. And you just,
Cut a little more.
yep, a little bit more. There you go.
Okay. We have a really good source for the pony manure. The people who own the ponies are very careful about the pony's diet. So usually with horse manure, you might get more weeds, but since they monitor their ponies, what their ponies eat, this is supposedly weed-free. We'll see, right?
We'll see. We've used it out here in the garden for many years and been very happy with it.
Okay, so what's next?
Well,
The straw?
again, we could do straw or we could say, because we could keep just piling her up.
You want to start the soil, putting soil
But let's
on?
put some soil in, or again, if you have finished compost at home, or again, purchase it, just throw her right on there. So that's what we'll do. Some people may wonder, it's very heavy, Vicky.
Okay, I can.
So some people may
You're
wonder,
right.
well, do I have to leave it sitting here? I don't think so. Leave it sitting here for the entire
Okay.
season and not plant for a year? Well, not really. You could put a good enough cover. Most authors say good 4 inches of topsoil or compost and plant right in there that season. And
And
again,
we have done that before.
yeah, we've done it here at the community garden. We've done it actually in those little containers right there, those yellow buckets,
Right.
and had some really great plants. So anyway, so we'll start putting our topsoil on there. Whoop. Cover it up really nice, and as I said, you can keep building it up. So as you can see, we've got the topsoil on here now. Again, if I wanted to plant this spring, I could do it right now, 4 inches of topsoil and compost. Certainly, you could build it up another layer Because again, remember, it's all going to squeeze down, right, Vicky?
It starts to compact.
Yeah. But if you wanted to plant, no problem.
It settles down.
Yeah.
All of the ground material will start decomposing more and will settle down. So the soil will push it down.
Yeah. And the fall is a fantastic time to do lasagna gardening
Absolutely.
too. Got a lot of your spent garden material all at the ready. And once you get her built up, the fall and winter weather will come, cover with snow, and a lot of that composting is happening all winter. Thanks for joining us. It was great to hear what's happening in the children's garden, and we learned a lot about getting gardening for the spring. Please join us next time on AZ Mountain Gardening.